What is up guys, Deadset here. In this video we'll go over an Akkhan Bombardment spec that is an excellent option for regular rift farming because it's able to mix with the Sage's set for the additional Death's Breath drop. With minor adjustments, it's also able to progress decently high into greater rifts and is likely your best option for early Season 10 progression because it's the set given away at the start. Let's go. The build's excellence for bounties and especially Torment Rifts comes from the ability to cross long distances quicker than most Crusader builds, thanks to a combination of Laws of Hope Wings of Angels and Steed Charge with the Norvold's Fervor set. You will ideally hunt Elite Pack after Elite Pack and kill trash as collateral damage. Upon reaching your target, you should have a triple buff punch prepared. Ongoing Akkhan's Champion, damage bonus from recent dismounting via the Norvold set, and a quick activation of Iron Skin Reflective Skin. A single drop of Bombardment should be enough to outright kill an Elite Pack in Torments or inflict significant damage in high-tier Greater Rifts. To maximize destruction, make sure to draw enemies in beforehand with a Condemned Vacuum. Similarly to its higher-end Legacy of Nightmares sister spec, this Akkhan build focuses on Bombardment as the primary damage dealer of the build, along with Barrels of Spikes rune that scales off of Thorn's damage on gear. By wearing Belt of the Trove, you will have a source of automated damage that inherits your selected rune and damage bonuses. However, you are still in control of your own cooldown, allowing you precision and syncing with buffs for the bulk of your damage. This is less important in Torment farming, but if you choose to push this build in Greater Rifts, you'll need to follow the rotation of Convention of Elements closely to sync your Bombardment with the physical cycle. In order to output the maximum damage possible, you'll be using a trio of buffs: Akkhan's Champion, Iron Skin Reflective Skin, and Steed Charge empowered by Norvold's Fervor set. You will aim to transition from Elite Pack to Elite Pack in the shortest amount of time possible, especially in the Ingiom-reliant Torment variation, where chaining elites is vital. Even in Greater Rifts, mobility is needed to give yourself breathing room away from dangerous affixes and wait for important cooldowns. Crusader's best tool for the purpose is Steed Charge, and you can tie it to the Thorn's strengths of the build with the rune Spiked Barding, useful in finishing off low health stragglers. Steed Charge is especially important in this build since it uses the Norvold's Fervor set, Flail of the Carnage and Shield of the Steed, whose bonuses double your damage while mounted and for 5 seconds after the skill wears off. You need to internalize the duration of this buff and reapply it accordingly, since your DPS hinges on its maintenance. As an Akkhan-based build, it is only natural to include Akkhan's Champion in the setup. While the set bonus cuts the skill's cooldown in half, you will still aim for the 56 CDR breakpoint in order to reach permanent uptime of this powerful steroid. The rune of choice is, of course, Prophet, for the additional toughness and the cheat death proc. The traditionally defense-oriented Iron Skin skill sees its role reversed in Thorn's builds with the rune Reflective Skin. Instead of using it when endangered by burst, trigger it directly before a Bombardment barrage to skyrocket its damage. Timing this skill becomes even more important if you push this build into Greater Rifts, since you'll have to synchronize it with a physical cycle of Convention of Elements rotation. Your active skill selection will be rounded out with utility picks. You'll completely disregard the damage component of Condemn, taking it strictly for the AoE pull of the Vacuum rune, very convenient for subsequent bombardments. Finally, either take Laws of Hope Wings of Angels during regular rift farming for its immense party-wide speed bonuses, or Consecration Bed of Nails for greater rift progression for a minor source of AoE healing and damage. This concludes the overview of the active skills. Now let us look through the passives. Unlike its Legacy of Nightmares counterpart, this Thorn's Bombardment variant uses Heavenly Strength as a baseline weapon passive, due to the mandatory two-handed Flail of the Carnage in your hands. Note that in an early season setup, if you're still farming the Norvold set, you can freely swap this passive out for Fervor according to your best rolled Thorn's weapon. You have a degree of freedom in your second passive slot, which you can adjust according to your preferences and attempted content. If you feel your defense is lacking, during early season gearing or late Greater Rift pushes for example, or simply prefer the safety in hardcore, include Indestructible for the cheat death. For a pure damage increase, look no further than Finery, since strength scales Thorn's damage. If you aim to boost utility, you can increase the length of Wings of Angels with Long Arm of the Law. Your passive choices will be rounded out by a Thorns and a Bombardment staple respectively, a 50% increase of Thorns from Iron Maiden, and a 35% cooldown reduction of Bombardment from Lord Commander. The backbone of the build lies in the 6-piece set bonuses of the Akkhan set, either mixed in with the Sage's set for efficient Death's Breath farming in regular rifts or with synergistic legendaries during Greater Rift pushing. In the regular rift farming setup, 2 of your armor slots have to be taken up by pieces of the crafted Sage's Journey set, complete with a Ring of Royal Grandeur for the 3-piece bonus, which is an additional Death's Breath drop. The remaining slots will be taken up by the 5 pieces of the Akkhan set, which also benefit from Ring of Royal Grandeur and complete the full 6-piece bonus. An example setup would be wearing the Sage's Helm and Sage's Boots to complete the Sage's set, and the Shoulders of Akkhan, the gloves, chest, pants, and amulet to complete the Akkhan set. In the Greater Rift progression setup, you will remove the Sage set pieces and the Akkhan amulet in favor of Aquila Caress and Hellfire amulet respectively. The former will provide much needed and consistent damage reduction to this no spender setup. The amulet will allow you to add another strong Greater Rift progression passive to your setup, for example whichever is missing between Finery and Indestructible. Your weapon, offhand and belt will be fixtures in both setups. Norvald's Fervor set, the Flail of Carnage and Shield of the Steed double your damage output while Steed Charge is active and for 5 seconds after you dismount. This creates a unique stop-and-go feel to the build, where you scout the battlefield either for the full duration of the Steed Charge or you can cancel it by activating any other skill and then stop, pre-buff and release your burst. Make special note of the weapon stats. The weapon's damage range will not affect Thorn's damage and can be safely rolled away for a better stat, like cooldown reduction. Belt of the Trove is a well-known item in Bombardment builds, which produces volleys of its own that inherit the rune on your skill bar, as well as benefit from any other equipment and cube bonuses. Your wrist slot will vary according to content. Nemesis Bracers are the go-to item for regular rifts, where chaining elites for Ingion procs ensures smooth and efficient clear times. During Greater Rift progression, you should swap this slot out for the additive damage buff of Strong Arm Bracers, applied on any enemy pulled by Condemned Vacuum. As for the rings, you will be using a physical damage Stone of Jordan in regular rifts, where timing and keeping track of convention of elements is overkill. You should use the latter though in Greater Rift progression. Protection in both build variations will come from a worn unity, coupled with the same ring on the follower, plus an immortality relic for him. In groups where followers are not available, simply swap to Avarice Band and use the gold-induced damage reduction combo with the socketed Boon of the Hoarder and cubed gold wrap. Your first legendary gem will be Bane of the Trapped, a potent source of additional damage, as it is its own multiplier in your total damage calculation. The gem procs itself with its level 25 property in melee range, a condition that is conveniently fulfilled with the Condemned Vacuum pool. Completely disregarding the level 25 property, you will take Boyarsky's Chip as your second legendary gem for one purpose only: boosting your Thorn's damage. There is some flexibility in your third gem socket. Due to its relatively lower Greater Rift ceiling, the build makes better use of the overall damage boost and elite hunting synergy of Bane of the Powerful, rather than Bane of the Stricken, but the latter can still be considered when pushing the build to its theoretical limits. When farming regular rifts in groups, or if you simply prefer the gold benefits, you can swap this slot out for Boon of the Hoarder, complemented by a worn Avarice Band and cubed gold wrap. In regular rifts, no cubed weapon provides a stronger effect than Ingion. In a purely cooldown reliant build, cutting all your downtimes by 10 seconds with every elite kill is an incomparable benefit. In Greater Rift Progression, where health pools grow exponentially and chaining elites is no longer possible, simply fall back to the double bombardments of the Mortal Drama. The Armor Cube slot varies a lot by preference and purpose. In Bounties, it's best to take the Shrine Duration increase of Gloves of Worship. In normal rifts, depending on your balancing of damage and toughness, you can either take Harrington Waist Guard, which doubles your damage for a short duration after opening a container, or you can take Gold Wrap, which reinforces your defenses as you pick up gold. In Greater Rifts, this slot is interchangeable between Leoric's Crown and Aquila Cuirass depending on your better rolled item. Leoric's Crown is the default recommendation to cube though, because finding a usable Aquila Cuirass to wear is trivial for a build that doesn't spend any Wrath. The Jewelry Cube slot is necessarily taken up by Ring of Royal Grandeur, a legendary item from Act 1 bounty caches that reduces the number of items needed for set bonuses by 1. This allows the Death's Breath farming spec to incorporate the Sage's set and the GR pushing spec to equip Aquila Cuirass, without either setup losing the 6-piece Akkhan bonus. In the Paragon points, max out movement speed and strength in the core section, focus on cooldown reduction in offense, all resistance into life percentage and armor in defense, and area damage in utility. And this is it for the Akkhan Bombardment Crusader build. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed the guide, subscribe to the channel if you enjoy my content, talk to me live on Twitch or the social media linked below, and I'll see you guys next time.